5 minutes, ready to get support. Cross will speak first and ask a question.
So at this point in time, we have about 400,000 frozen embryos that have no use if we stop stem cell research. What do you propose we do with them if we go along with your side and we stop stem cell research?
We thought that the thing that you said in your speech about how informing decisions with these embryos is a fantastic alternative. Unfortunately, you're conflating that with HESCs. Right now, we are showing you that even if we could, for free, use these embryos for treatments, it would be unethical to do so because there is a significantly increased risk of getting a second cancer when you try to treat any sort of condition with these stem cells. The fact is, simply using them in human trials is incredibly ethically irresponsible. Right? And so it doesn't really matter what we do with these embryos as long as we keep them the heck away from people who are sick.
All right. So you said that the HESCs will get cheaper over time. So first question is, do you have a time frame? And the second thing is, if you give any technology enough time, you throw enough money at it, anything will improve. So so is improving HESCs cheaper than improving ASCs or reprogramming skin cells?
Okay, so in response, I'd like to point out that iPSCs are not even working right now. Like, they haven't even been shown to work yet. And embryonic stem cells are considered the gold standard, so they're the closest that we have right now. So no matter what the time frame, they're the best thing that we have, and we shouldn't even bother considering other research methods if embryonic stem cells are better than all of them.
Matt?
You claim that we should not use embryonic stem cells because they subject people to pain when they are used. Do not many other medical treatments that are life-saving also subject people to pain when they are used? Like chemotherapy, bone marrow transplants, blood donations. Many medical treatments involve pain for both the patient and possibly a donor, but we still use them because they save lives.
Does that not contradict what you said earlier about how Nate Nash, I believe, was a story Hosham told about how a person was grown specifically for the purpose of giving her sister treatment, right? And they said the only disadvantage to that was that there was significant pain involved, and that's why we should not be using the technology that we are saying. If you're saying that pain is not an issue, how are we to believe any of your arguments?
Dennis, please ask a question and keep your answers in answer format, not asking questions.
Can I clarify the misconception that they have? Is that appropriate?
Sure.
Okay, yeah, so I want to address something that Waylon said about mutations. So yes, induced pluripotent stem cells can have mutations as a result of the viruses used. However, a team of researchers from California and Wisconsin recently found that these can be corrected using drugs at minimal mutational cost. Additionally, steps have been taken in order to improve the efficiency of the transformation process, including changing which somatic cells are used to create induced pluripotent stem cells. And I also want to address something that you talked about, which is expensiveness. According to research published at Yale.edu, deriving 3 iPS stem cell lines costs below $15,000, while according to the American Cancer Society, stem cell transplants can cost anywhere from $350,000 to $800,000.
Wait. Question.
If you think stem cells are the future of biotechnology, then why do you want to go backwards and go back to concepts such as killing embryos before they even have the chance to go for to become human, and for the selfish needs of the rich people in society?
So in terms of embryos being alive or killing babies, according to a 2013 Stanford study, the cells that comprise the human embryos that scientists use are only 5 days old. And by the time you have substantial cell differentiation to actually constitute a human, that's at day 16 of fertilization. But scientists are only using babies at day 5 of fertilization, so they can't technically constitute a human being with feelings or emotions or a central nervous system, and they can't feel anything, and they don't really constitute something that's living, so you can't call that further of a human being. And also, these are eggs grown in a lab, and they're donor eggs that are fertilized by lab products and things like that. They're essentially grown in a petri dish, And to say that they're ending the potential of life for a human being, that's not really accurate because they never have the opportunity to grow into an actual fetus because they're grown in a lab.
Okay, now another minute of preparation.
Hanson, you need to speak. And Mario. Right, people will speak in the final focus. Twice, but you're gonna write your vote on here. Your vote is here, and your vote is gonna be on here. So support or oppose. You don't need to do it now. You still have votes.
Okay, now for the support closing statement, 2 minutes. Where do you begin?
I have seen many arguments like that stem cell research is not only harmless to humans, it can save countless lives and lead human research in places it has never seen before. As for those who would rather maintain status quo or oppose stem cell research, keep in mind, we as humans have modified the environment around us to help us since the beginning of time. Think of agriculture, or maybe electronics. Sure, those may have introduced some inequality, a lot of inequality at first, but everyone is better off with it. Stem cell research is the way forward, and our only decision today is whether we do it now or whether we give up our benefit to the generations that come after us.
While our detractors may say that stem cell research is unethical, this view is not only outdated but dangerous compared to the view that many vaccines that can cause autism, measles, and many other diseases. Children should not die if they get a preventable disease, and neither should people in general if stem cell research can save their lives.
Our team has won this debate, not just because we have clearly proven that stem cells are beneficial to human beings, but also because we have supported each of our evidence with evidence, statistics, and expert facts. We have used a clear three-pronged argument, which consists of, firstly, not benefiting stem cell research is a clear step away from moving away the idea of progress that has so clearly benefited mankind.
Second, stem cell research allows scientists to learn more about genetics and unique human traits, find new medical treatments for various diseases, decrease the cost of health insurance, and create more high-paying jobs for everyone. Third and lastly, about 400,000 embryos are frozen right now, most of which are destined to be thawed and discarded, destroying the embryo. By choosing to destroy so many cells, we are causing thousands upon thousands of people to die, which could have been prevented if these stem cells have been used for a beneficial intent through stem cell therapy.
Our opponents have failed to adequately argue these points. They have failed to concisely prove stem cell.
That is it.
Judges, for this reason, we strongly urge you to
Let him.
Sorry. Now for the opposition closing statement. Right now.
Can you tell us the 1 minute mark, please?
Sure. Okay, ready, begin.
Thank you, judges, for moderating this round. To reiterate, remember that we are weighing our debate on the argument standard of public health. Therefore, any potentialities occurring outside of the medical sphere must be completely disproven. And therefore, keeping this in mind, we have to ensure that we are prioritizing human lives in the economic sphere. Currently, HESC is sucking up $1.5 billion of our annually, a significant portion of the total stem cell budget, with the results pointing to rejection in animal studies and inconclusivity in that of humans. With so many taxpayer dollars going to funding for a failing project, do we really want to keep on funding it? This solution can be easily found in iPSCs. Not only iPSC, but also adult stem cells, which my opponents have completely neglected to address. Adult stem cells are fantastic, proven, and highly versatile options that put people first by not harming them and showing a lack of adverse side effects. Affirmative, on the other hand, was unable to uphold the public health standard for the round, and therefore I strongly urge negation.
Okay, 1 minute.
Now, there are three big issues that have taken place in today's debate, and I'm going to show you why the negation is one on all of them. First of all, as for the costs, we are showing you that we are sucking up funding by continuing to fund HESCs. There's no time frame for HESCs getting cheaper, and they're not reading you any pieces of evidence regarding that, so you cannot buy that argument. Furthermore, they're also telling you that stem cells are the way forward. However, they are constantly conflating HESCs and stem cells in general. We are saying that ASCs are the way forward because they are far more effective and not as dangerous as HESCs. We are not anti-stem cell, we are anti-HESC. There is a big difference. ASCs are the way forward. Now let's move on to my opponents talking about how HESCs are effective. Now, they're telling you the Sonia example is really effective. However, that used bone marrow cells from herself. Those are ASCs. The one example that they give you was from ASCs. That is the only way that we can cure these diseases. And then they're telling you that HESCs have lots of studies, but Mario is not citing a source. However, we are showing you concretely that HESCs have terrible side effects, including a significantly increased risk of cancer, and ASCs are the way forward. Thank you.
Okay, what do we do now? Thank you for our honorary judges for coming out and judging. Now we will have 4 minutes to vote, 2 minutes to vote.
Wait, is it okay if I ask for something?
Please remain silent.
Yeah, of course. Actually, before we're not quite done yet. Judges are going to ask a few questions, follow-up questions, and they're also going to give you feedback. Okay? So here we go.
Can I get you guys mentioned evidence about ASCs like sucking or something. Can I see that evidence? And can I see the evidence of the 10 out of 18? And just all the evidence that you guys brought up about why HSCs work. And can I see your evidence about how HSCs aren't effective and your study for ASCs, like solving 70, like you brought up the
Loreto? Yeah.
Yeah, can I see that stuff, please? And what's the exact resolution? What's exactly what they're debating about? Just, so they're debating about, so they're just supposed to prove embryonic stem cells. It's not stem cells.
I have a question on the top. Are they